When I got into agency in the mid-80s, young, trainee, which was fun. We didn't have things called KPIs, key performance indicators. So we were just given the details of the properties, the keys are in the safe over there, go play, go sell. And so off we went, and if we weren't selling things, we weren't eating basically. But we learnt on the job, and it was fun. There were people in the business who had been around a long time at that point. I mean, the older people that sadly we are now, but they had time to sort of teach you how to do things and help you with your negotiations. And from that basis, a lot of agents of my age group today who grew up in that world are probably still enjoying the business. As time has moved on to present day agency, firms have brought in business managers and they just look at spreadsheets. They just see numbers, and they expect agents to work to a target of doing so many viewings a day, making so many phone calls a day, because they will count your phone calls that you make. Because they believe that if you have this target, by doing that amount of viewings, this amount of phone calls, you will create so many offers. And it doesn't work like that. It's battery farming. And they've almost taken out the personal element of agency, where you've still got to spend time with your clients, buyers and vendors alike. Because it is a big people industry. It's a big investment people are making. And so you can't make it into a battery farm anymore. And I think the way forward is agents who've been around for a while can afford to just step back a bit, not be told by people how to do their business who weren't even born when they first got into doing agency, who've built up a lot of knowledge over the years, have built up a lot of friendships in the business, both vendors and buyers, but equally with other agents who've grown up with you. You can be far more collaborative and just sort of spend a bit more time helping people achieve their aim, which is to buy or sell a property. There is a move afoot to make it more qualified, and I think that's not a bad thing, but it's how that training is done. It has to be done very sympathetically. I think when you grew up in a business that was unregulated, as agency is, but you had people who just taught you how to do it properly. If you were receptive to that and you weren't well, then I don't think you need to be qualified, because someone once said to me, a little knowledge can be a dangerous thing. If we know a little bit about law on how property is transacted, but law changes, but we haven't kept up with that, then we can make a mistake. So I think we have to rely on professionals to help us, both surveyors and lawyers and financial people. And I think they have their big place to play in our world. I think, though, as an agent, you have to be aware of the obligations of money laundering and what you can and can't say in terms of client confidentiality. And don't ever make any promises that you can't back up. Don't say anything that, well, this property has been fantastically built. Well, how do you know? Were you alive when it was built? Probably not. So just be careful, and that's common sense, I think. So it is common sense all the way through. Don't try and be, forgive me, but being the Billy Big Bits. I don't know if you can use that expression, but basically just be sensible about what we're saying and don't overpromise. There is an argument that agents in London are underpaid. We don't do enough, or we do a lot that is unrewarded or unrecognised. So there is an argument that perhaps fees should go up in London, and we are still one of the cheapest countries in which to charge our fee, in terms of percent. Should we do more work for that? Well, I think we already do a lot of it, which is unrecognised. Do we need to be qualified? I think there are certain qualifications that perhaps, or minimum standards that should be adhered to, like Property Mark for one. That's probably the basic one that one should do. And at least then you've put your thoughts down on paper as to how you would problem solve. and that is marked by someone. I've done that, and actually I found it quite interesting to do it. So maybe property mark for one, but do not get het up by the legal side of life. That's not your job. That's the lawyer's job. Our job is to just really shoot from the hip and tell your friend or client how it is. And I think we will become that trusted person, that extra person in your life that will tell you, how it is. I mean, there are people that we speak to probably on an annual basis. How's the market going? Has my property gone up? Has it gone down? You speak to your stockbroker on a regular basis. So why not speak to your friendly agent on a regular basis? Over a coffee or a glass of wine or whatever. It doesn't take long, and most agents like doing that. They like imparting a bit of knowledge and what the trends are. And I think the way I see it, having come out of the corporate world, we have a bit more time to do that because we're not being beaten up by people who are saying you haven't made enough referrals or enough phone calls or viewing times. An agent's got to be able to have the freedom to spend time with their clients because, as we've said already, it is their biggest investment, or one of their biggest investments. If they have several, then the bigger picture is, if you can't handle it, then you might be able to refer it to one of your friends who can. It's really, I think the future is just being that guiding hand and being that voice of reason, sanity check for some people, and a bit of grey hair. It's one of the few businesses I think a bit of grey hair really helps. I had a feeling sort of 10 years or so ago that the broker style model was going to come into the UK at some point because we could see from here how our counterparts in and around the world were earning a lot more money, perhaps not as pressurized environment, you've got to be in by X time, be tied at your desk for the first 2 hours of the day and then go out and do your business. I think really nowadays the broker model, I think it encompasses a lot of collegiate work environment. You will help someone out because you can afford to financially, and that's important because then we can all pull together in the same direction. So I can see it just bringing good agents together. And there are some teams out there that have grown out of the business over the last couple of years, and they're doing well. I could see it coming, because in the corporate world, the guys at the top of the business is the one who are making, taking home all the money. It's the worker bees that are making the money, and there is perhaps some argument that they're not being rewarded enough, and when you've done a big deal and you've earned your firm a huge commission, and we know the sort of fees that we can be talking about in London, and then at the end of the year you think, well, is that it? Is that what I got for doing that deal and all the hours I had to put in? And the boss, who didn't even know this deal was going on, just takes the cream. So it was inevitable, in my view, that the tables were going to turn. And I think the more that happens, then corporates may have to change their approach to business and how they employ their staff, perhaps on the American style. Everybody will still do well. The client will definitely benefit from that. It's just putting the rewards in the right place.